This is what you need to know about hybrid teaching. What's up, everybody? My name is Ramon Torres, the educator at School Your Brain. I want to talk to you today about my experience as a hybrid teacher, and hopefully what I share will help you out. I'm going to be answering some questions that I got, and hopefully this will give you some insight as to how hybrid teaching is going and what you should expect and some things that might help you out. First of all, one thing you need to have is the right mindset. Keep in mind, you need to remain curious like a child. You should not be going into hybrid teaching thinking that you are going to be a master at that craft, because it's new to everybody. It's not easy. You're trying to balance online instruction with teaching actual students in your classroom. So it's going to feel chaotic. So you shouldn't go into it saying, I'm going to be doing a great job, because the moment you're not doing a great job, you're going to feel like a failure. So it's best to remain curious like a child, meaning when you're trying to do hybrid teaching, just keep learning. That's it. This is working, this is not working, and if something's not working, how can I improve it? So always have the mindset of the glass is half full. What can I do to improve hybrid teaching? It's a learning curve for everybody, including teachers, principals, parents, students. It's new to everybody. We're all learning, and I think as long as you're communicating that to your students, to the parents, sharing that with everybody, we just do this together. It's going to be a struggle, but keep in mind, struggle is growth. And while I'm on the topic of struggle, I like this idea of struggling because as a teacher, when you're teaching your craft, you're an expert at it, and it's very easy to you. So you assume, I think a lot of times we assume that it's going to be easier to teach the students, and we assume that they should take it easily too. And they shouldn't be giving up. They should just go into it like nothing. But you're going to experience as a hybrid teacher that it's very difficult, and you're going to feel like a failure, like you can't do it, it's impossible, right? You might end up crying because it's just overwhelming, the expectations. But keep in mind, this is what some students feel like when they're learning your subject, right? They go in it and it's just like, it could be overwhelming to them, it's very difficult, it's new to them, and the expectations are high, right? The teachers want them to succeed, the parents want them to succeed, there's a lot of pressure on them too. Just like we feel the pressure on us to be a good hybrid teacher. So I use this experience as a humbling experience because it's a reminder to let me know that students experience this too in our classroom. And we're there as a teacher to support them, to get them through that. And as a teacher, we're going to need support too to get through this as well. So make sure you reach out to other teachers, to the principals. And if you're a principal, make sure that you emphasize that you're there to support your teachers. That's really, really important because they need to know that you're on their side and that you're not expecting them to be great at it, not to excel. It's just that we're going to learn through this together. We'll get through it together. We're all learning through it, and we just try to share what's working, what's not, and learn from it, and that's it. Keep growing. That way we get a sense that we don't have pressure on us. But yeah, so it's a reminder that, it's a struggle, and now we get to really experience what students feel like when they're learning from us. So it's a reminder. So I would probably recommend even journaling what your feelings are, because, once we're done with hybrid teaching, things go back to normal. You have to keep a reminder of the fact that learning something new is hard, and that's why it's really important that we always show a lot of support to our students when they're learning our subject. One thing I noticed with hybrid teaching is that I'm putting a lot more emphasis on how does learning actually work. What are some responsibilities that you have as a student? Because when the kids are at home, nobody's there to watch them what they're doing. Nobody's there to push them to learn. So I'm really selling to the students that this is really important, that they fulfill their responsibility to learn while they're at home. So I've created like a website where I have a lot of instructional videos I recorded for them. I tell the students it's very important to, when you're at home, it's like an independent work day. You look at the videos, learn from them, and then do as much as you can, because I teach math, so do as many problems as you can. And the ones you get stuck on, write down the ones that you're getting stuck on. That way when you come in school with me, you have your questions prepared, and we're working on just filling in the gaps. And the reason why I say that is because you shouldn't be coming to school and say, okay, can you teach me this? Because a lot of the stuff in mathematics is just a process. So if you watch the video that I record, if you come to class, I'm going to say the same thing I said in the video. So it's important to watch the video, get your learning beforehand, so when you come in, the parts that you did not understand, because I know you're not expected to learn everything from a video, but it should be enough to get you a head start. And that's why I constantly remind the students, is that it's enough to get you a head start. And then those little gaps that you can't figure out, then those are the questions you propose. And that way we're utilizing our time wisely. Because again, our time together, physically together, is very limited. So we have to make those minutes count. So I do spend a lot more time showing the students how does learning work? Like for instance, I tell them a tip on something called memory first, note second, meaning when you're studying for math, your job is to figure out how far you could get in the problem without looking at your notes. That's the name of the game for learning. And this is based on a principle from like what research shows is has the strongest evidence with learning is that you just quiz yourself over and over. How far can I get without help? Sort of like when you're using flashcards. You try to get the answer. When you get stuck, look at the answer on the other side. That's how learning works. So I spend more time emphasizing the way learning works. I tell kids about multitasking. I do a thing at the beginning of school year where they did an activity with multitasking. I'll put that link below so you can look at the video and you can actually use it too. But it's good because they can see that when they're at home, if you're supposed to be doing math right now, you shouldn't be doing other stuff because that's going to lead to errors, mistakes, more stress. And if you watch the other video, you'll see how that teaches them. It's a really good activity. It's very engaging. So I suggest try it out with your students. But yeah, a lot more emphasis is definitely on teaching students how learning works, how to stay focused, things like that. Because they have more responsibility on their plate this year. In terms of the technology that I'm using, I use this right here. This is a Wacom Tablet. And basically it just connects with a USB and it comes with a little pen. I paid about $60 for this, but I think if you go on Amazon, they have newer companies that sell them for cheap, like 35 bucks I think I seen one for. But they're really good because basically you write on here, and whatever I write on here, it shows on the screen. So if you're in school and the kids are at home learning, you could write here. The kids could see it in class, could see it on the board, and then the kids at home could also see it too. So they're almost like they're going to be in school. So basically, it's kind of like a replacement of the Elmos, where it's a video camera and you could write on a paper and it shows it on the screen. But it's digitized, so it's a digital Elmo if you think about it that way. Really great tool because you could save your notes, and then you could even display it later on so kids could get it if they miss your class. Because with hybrid teaching, sometimes kids show up late, they didn't make the class. You can record your videos and save it for the students to look at later on. Because one of the things with hybrid teaching, when they're at home, things come up, and if you're a teacher, right, or someone that's working from home, you understand that when you have family at home, you get distracted easily because they might call you for a second to do something, or you have other responsibilities you got to take care of. That's just the reality of it. So that's why I did a lot of stuff with the videos and recorded it, because it's available 24/7 all the time. So, but this is definitely one tool that I use a lot to make my videos, record them, and then that's something that I put on my website and I share with my students. But you could, again, use this while teaching in school, and you could write on it. It shows on your computer screen, and the kids at home can see it as well. So it's really, really good tool to use. And I'll put the link for this below as well, as far as what I'm using. One last thing that I would like to share is that there's this quote by Zig Ziglar. You don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And I love that quote because going into hybrid teaching, you cannot expect yourself to be great at it. If you set that bar like I'm going to be great, and you're not meeting that bar, you're going to feel like a failure. Make sure you go in it saying that I'm just going to get started, see how things go. I know I'm going to make mistakes. I know it's going to be very difficult, and I'm just going to keep trying to grow from it. And a reminder too to keep in mind is that it's a process. Change is a process. This is new. It's going to take time to develop the craft of hybrid teaching. So just take every opportunity as a learning experience, a learning curve. And if you feel like you're struggling, remind yourself that that is growth. It's new. It's something new. Just like when your students are learning something new, they're struggling. But that's what growth feels like. So keep in mind, like Zig Ziglar said, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. Meaning, get started, keep learning, and you'll see by the end of the school year, you're going to be so much more knowledgeable than you are where you are today. One last thing I forgot to point out is that parents and students are going to feel overwhelmed with the amount of information they're getting from the schools. Like, they're going to be receiving tons of emails because, right, if we're learning from home and we're doing hybrid teaching, we have to send them things through email or communicate through them, right, digitally. And it's going to be overwhelming because they're going to get lots of stuff. So organization is going to be critical. Trying to reach out to parents with a phone call might benefit. Like, so let's say you're emailing and you're not receiving any communication back. Maybe a phone call might be necessary, or sending a letter to the parent with the child. So you're going to have to figure out how to be very, very organized. Make sure your communication is on point, is very, very clear. Because again, they're going to get lots of stuff, so parents could get overwhelmed with all the different things they're getting through their email, and they might not get to it all. That's just the reality of it. So that's why it's important. You got to figure out what are the most important things they need to know for the student to be successful. Make sure the learning goals are very clearly communicated to the students, as well as the parents should be informed as to what's going on in the school. What are the responsibilities of the parent? What are the responsibilities of the student? What are the responsibilities of the teacher? Try to communicate those things so that everybody knows that what part they have to play in this hybrid teaching, what's their role. That way they can contribute. And I also made a video as far as something that's going to help you communicate. It's called a mail merge. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but if you watch the video, it can show you how to do communication on a massive scale, but it's still personalized. So if you wanted to share, for example, the results of your students on their tests or their homework, you can actually communicate that with pretty much the push of one click. It'll give all the different scores for each kid, and you could even introduce, say, hi, Mrs. Johnson, or Mr. Torres. You can personalize it by each person's name and everything. So check out that video too. I'll put the link for that below as well. But yeah, so definitely organization is critical. I cannot emphasize that enough. Organization is key when you're doing hybrid teaching. So make sure you work on that every day. So when you notice you keep doing things that are repetitive in nature, try to figure out how can I make that a little bit more simpler. And I also have a video that shows you how to, and I'll put the link below, because you're going to need multiple screens. That helps. So I'm going to show you a very quick hack that will allow you to put the 4 different screens. You can watch 4 different screens on your computer monitor. So you'll be able to see 4 different things. So for example, I have a screen for attendance. I have a screen for the seating chart. I have a screen for Google Meets. So that's another thing you can do as well. So I'll put the links to that below. And hopefully this helps you out. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, and put a comment as to anything that I might have missed or anything else you want to know about hybrid teaching or just teaching in general. Let me know, and I'll gladly make a video for that. Alright, hope you have a good day, and don't worry about hybrid teaching. Just keep working at it. It'll be a struggle, but you're okay because that means you're growing. Alright, see you later.